Spider-Man Lotus is one of the most famous and infamous fan films of all time. It began as a fan film that just managed to receive a lot of support and backing from fans, but it became an extremely controversial piece of media after private messages of the director and the lead actor using the N-word were leaked. On August 11, 2023, the film was finally released on YouTube. I noticed a lot of people were going into the film already hating it, especially on Twitter, and there are people who are curious if the film is genuinely good or not, controversy aside, so I wanted to provide just that. And here's my 100% unbiased review of Spider-Man Lotus. I'll divide my review into two categories, things I found to be the positives of the movie and things I found to be the negatives of the movie. Starting with the former, the cinematography. For a fan film, the camera work is mostly really good. The shots of the sprawling New York City skylines, the opening scene with a flair from the use of anamorphic lens, and the music video style scenes of Harry are all really well done, well framed, and pretty to look at. There is some bad lighting here and there, but nothing so bad that it can't be overlooked. Next, the CGI. There are some bad CGI in some spots, like the car chase scene, but given their budget, I'll keep my critiques of the CGI to a minimum. Visually, the swinging scene and the bridge scene were genuinely amazing for a fan film, especially the transition from Harry to Spider-Man. That was probably the best scene and the use of CGI in the entire film. The soundtrack. Although the music is used at almost every scene, which can be a bit much, the music itself was great. It has a really uplifting melody to it, and I like the different renditions of the same song, like the piano version at the end. The presentation. I think this is by far the most significant thing about Lotus that got the movie to this level of popularity in the first place. It has top-tier presentation. The opening and ending credit sequences are absolutely amazing, and those alone draw you in even if the actual product inside does not live up to your expectations. The emotional moments, some of them. The last entry in what I found to be the good parts of the movie is some of the emotional moments. Not all of the emotional moments of the film work, in fact many of them don't, but I really connected with the ones with Tim Harrison. I found the part where him and Spider-Man flip through the pages together to be really sincere and well done. And now with the positives out of the way, what are some of the bad parts of the film? The acting. The acting for the majority was not very good. It's kinda unfortunate because from a visual standpoint, the cast is pretty damn good. The problem is not just the acting, but also the material the actors were working with. Most of the time, the characters were just angry and angsty with each other, and there wasn't really much diversity in the story for the actors to really flesh out their performances. For example, the moments in the film where Peter and MJ are still good friends, and then the moments where they have fallen out, which is after Gwen's death, happened about 10 minutes apart from each other. It's a big jump for the characters in terms of their emotional state, but it goes from point A to point B with no build-up or a natural progression. The length and the pacing. This movie is extremely long, and it has far too little happening in it to maintain its runtime. Most of the story is just the characters being angry with one another, and the entire story is just them getting over it. It is described as a non-action character study, but even with that in mind, I can't help but feel like Gavin should have been able to do more with the budget that he had. For example, the third act could have been something bigger, such as a Harry versus Peter story. I know the budget, despite being relatively big, is still very little to do a full Green Goblin and Spider-Man fight, but there were ways to work around it. To give you an example, the final fight could have been Harry without all of his father's technology, could have been Peter with no web shooters. A one-on-one fight with good choreography without much flashy effects would have still been a better finale than a rinse-repeat teenage drama montage. The constant flashbacks were also very jarring. The Green Goblin fight especially comes up more than twice, which makes the entire timeline of events kinda difficult to follow. And the last on what I found to be the bad parts of the film is the audio. It was very hard to make out what they're saying at multiple points in the film. The mixing is very subpar. Overall, I feel like Lotus was an idea and a concept that became far too big for its own good. The final budget far exceeded what the story and the initial idea even called for, and to really make the film what it could have been at its budget, Gavin would have had to change most of the third act, which he evidently wasn't willing to do. So many of the scenes felt like they were just there to pad out the movie and justify the budget, and in the end, it became very repetitive. The visuals, the music, and the presentation of the film is so great that it kinda works against the film, because essentially it sets you up for a movie that Lotus actually isn't. But all in all, what Gavin managed to accomplish as a fan creator was still pretty impressive, and even though I don't find myself wanting to rewatch the entire film, there are bits and pieces, like some specific scenes and the music, that I found to be very memorable. I'd give the film a strong 4 to a light 5 out of 10. This was a relatively quick upload compared to my other videos, because I haven't posted in about a week, and I just wanted to put this one out. If you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing and feel free to check out my other videos. So far, it's been your boy Edward Takeshi, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.